This is not looking right. What on earth did I do? Hi, it's Sonia here at The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So usually I post videos about crocheting, knitting. I have tutorials on Tunisian crochet, stitch patterns. Sometimes I do yarn hauls. And today I'm doing what I like to call is a crochet chat, where I sit in front of my door because I use this room as a guest room and a filming room, and it's a pretty tiny room, so we don't have a lot of room for filming. And I guess I probably could sit on the bed, but it's kind of a noisy bed. Like, it's an old bed, it's creaky. It's a creaky bed. So I think if I shifted, it would make a lot of noise, but maybe we'll try it one of these days. Yeah, today I thought I would just kind of talk about random stuff like I usually do, maybe some upcoming projects, and we're gonna sit and crochet. So today I am working on this blanket here, which you saw me crochet a week ago. I started it, and this is a pattern that I made in 2017 for a publication, and it was actually pretty popular for the publication. And so I thought I would revisit it again and work on it and publish it on my own, because I can do that now because the rights have gone back to me, so I can do whatever I want with the pattern. I think you might be able to get this pattern on their website. I don't know, they might have taken it down. I don't know. But yeah, so I am working on this blanket, and it's a blanket that is crocheted, and I used blanket yarn when I first made it, but that was kind of expensive. That was probably, I would say, a $50 plus blanket that I made using the blanket yarn, and it looked really nice. It was actually very heavy, so if you like a weighted blanket, then you might want to use blanket yarn for that, but I'm just using good old worsted weight here, number 4. The yarn is called Impeccable, I think. Maybe it's Impeccable Threads. I think it's just Impeccable. I don't know, but I got it from Goodwill. I had a little Goodwill haul, so I thought I would make this blanket. But I did complete some projects, which I'm going to put on the picture because I already gifted them. So my sister, she recently turned 50, so happy birthday. I don't think she's ever going to see this, but if she is, happy birthday. And I gave her a gift of 50 things. She did that for me once, I think when I turned 40. She gave me she gave me 40 items, and I thought it was really fun. So I thought when she turns 50, I'm going to gift her 50 things. So I made her 2 things. So I made her a kitchen towel for her kitchen, just one of those that has the button on it that you loop on your stove, and you can dry your hands, whatever you want to use. So I knitted her a towel, and maybe I'll do the pattern. I liked how it turned out. I didn't love it. I kind of made it very quickly, and it definitely is a very functional item, but I think I just kind of want to tweak it a little bit if I'm going to actually, release it as a pattern. And then the other one I gave her was a scrunchie, because she does like to wear her hair back quite a bit. And so I made a scrunchie, and I do have that pattern on here, and I can definitely post a link. And that is one of those things that you can make up really, really quickly. So you can, let's say you have a little girl's birthday party that you need to go to, like in 2 hours, you could definitely make it in that short of time. And you can use a variety of yarns. So the yarn I used for the one for my sister, I wanted it to be kind of a little more understated. It has like loops on it, and I didn't want it to be like too crazy and loopy. So I used a sport weight yarn to make hers. So it was just a little smaller loops and it turned out really cute. And it was in her favorite colors, so she really liked it. So yeah, so those were 2 projects that I recently finished, and I am currently working on this. I mean, I always have a bunch of projects going on that is the story of my life, you know, the UFOs, the unfinished objects, and hopefully, you know, they'll eventually get finished. Some of them, it takes me quite a bit of time to finish, and then sometimes I'm like, you know, I'm never gonna finish this, and then I just take it apart. But I would say at least, I would say 70% of my projects that I start, I finish. So if you're watching this, you know, just put in the comments, you know, how many unfinished objects you might have, or, you know, maybe like how many objects that you usually, you know, finish, like if it's, you know, what the range is, or if you just kind of start something and then never finish it. But I do try to, you know, finish at least, as I said, 70% of my projects. But yeah, so let me show you what I am currently working on. One of my unfinished objects, which I'm hoping to have up soon because I'm really excited to see how it's going to turn out. So here we go. I am working on this shawl here, and I think it's going to be super, super pretty. This yarn is yarn that I got. It's I would say 95% sure it's that Hobie yarn, cotton. I want to say twirls, but I think that's wrong. I think it's Cotton King, maybe. But it's the yarn that has, you know, the strands are not very tightly wound. I don't know if, let's see if I can show it to you here. Probably not. But it's not a tight twist on there, and they often have really pretty colors. So this is red, and so you can see that there's some different shades of red going on here, and it's a lacy one. So I was inspired by this Japanese crochet. There's some like really gorgeous designs or stitch patterns. So I saw this Japanese stitch pattern. I favored it on Ravelry like years and years ago, like well over 10 years. So I was trying to find, where did I put my hook? Some ideas for some like lace pattern ideas, just to kind of get some inspiration. And I was looking through my old favorites from Ravelry. And so if you don't know what Ravelry is, it's a crocheting knitting website. And if you have an account on there, and it's free to join, you can put favorites on there. So if you see other patterns that you like on there, people's projects, whatever, you can favorite it, and then it stores it for you on there. And you know, anything that kind of catches my eye, I like to favorite as like a little resource to kind of get inspiration. I've even used it for like color combinations, whatever, you know, because I don't copy anybody's work, but like I'll just see, oh, that's like a shell stitch. I love shells, so this pattern uses shells, and so it was a really pretty shell stitch, and I kind of just, you know, played around with it and kind of came up with my own version of this shell variation. And so yeah, that's what is going on with that, guys. So I'm hoping to have that soon, and I love using that Hobie yarn for shawls. It's cotton and it works up beautifully in shawls. So I actually got that yarn at one of it's a crafting thrift store is all I can say, and they actually had it there, and I did show it in a past video, my little haul from that crafting store, or that crafting thrift store, and that was a really nice find. And I do love red. Now there will be some blue in that project because there is another ball of yarn that it's red and blue. So yeah, I'm going to incorporate that one in there. I'm kind of, it's like a mishmash of this Hobie yarn because they didn't have a full skein of it. I think somebody was using it for a project and didn't, you know, I think they finished it and that was what was left over, and they didn't know what to do with the leftovers, so they just decided to, sorry, my bag, my yarn is caught. Sorry, my yarn was caught in a grocery bag because I had it in a bag, but it kept like, sometimes that crinkling sound irritates me, so I was like, I need to just take it out of the bag, and we're all good now. So yeah, so I was talking about that yarn that I had gotten. So yeah, that's a prototype of a shawl. I'm hoping to have that pattern. I don't know if it'll be this week. I do really need to put up a pattern because I haven't done one in about 2 weeks because I have been super busy being away. We did a family vacation almost 3 weeks ago. I mean, the last 3 weeks have just been a whirlwind because we did a family vacation with my extended family, 2 of my kids, my mom, my brother, my nieces and nephews, my sisters. So it was my son's girlfriend. Like, we just all pulled our money together to get this house in South Carolina, and it was fun. But yeah, it was fun. It definitely had a lot of nightlife, that kind of thing, which is not normally something that we go for in our family. We are not those kind of people, and if you are, that's quite all right. It's just never been my thing. But hey, it's always fun to try something new and try something different. I think next year, if we do another family trip like that, we won't be going to a beach like that. We'll be doing a quieter beach is what we usually do. In one place we stayed, literally there was no nightlife. Like, it was the house and you walked across the street to the beach. I mean, there was like one store, which I actually really liked. I just like going to the beach, taking walks, going in the water if it's not too crazy. I don't like it when the ocean is like very angry. I don't want to get beat up by the ocean. But you know, it was fun to try something different, and we went to this ice cream place that really was amazing. So that was great. But yeah, we did that, and then I came home, and the very next day I had to take my daughter to horse camp, which I talked about in my last crochet chat, because I was in a different place. I'm back in my house. So I took her to horse camp, and that was an 8-hour round trip. So 4 hours there, 4 hours back, in addition to the 11 hours to drive back from South Carolina. So I was pretty tired. And then I just had a few days at home, and I had to turn around and go back to pick her up at horse camp. And when I did that, I stayed in an Airbnb. I went up so I dropped her off on a Sunday, and then I went back on Thursday and had to pick her up Friday afternoon. And then we just made a long weekend of where we were, because we used to live there. We moved away from there 5 years ago? Five? Yeah, it's been just 5 years, which is hard to believe. We do like to visit that area because, like I said, it's great to visit. It's you know, fun to catch up with some people. And then what we usually do is when we usually visit every summer. Then we bring back my daughter's friend that she has stayed in touch with all these years. And then she spends a week with us. So pick her up from horse camp, then we pick up her friend, then we drive back, and then we have a whole week with her friend and, you know, entertaining her. And she's a great kid. Like, she really doesn't require a lot of entertainment. But, you know, I always want my guests to feel welcome and have fun because she's a kid. And so, yeah, we were just running around doing stuff. We got to visit a wolf sanctuary on 4th of July. That was really neat. And then then we went to a picnic. So it's been a lot of running around. And last time you saw me, I was nursing a knee injury because I hurt myself when I stayed at the Airbnb. That is almost better. It's still a little sore. Like, if I'm not careful, like let's say I'm getting into bed at night and I put, you know, like I'm on my knees, you know, kind of crawling into bed, then it's still tender. It's still tender. It still hurts a little bit. So, you know, it just reminds me like, hey, we're not all the way better, but it's definitely, you know, I have full range of motion, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, so now, you know, her friend, she went back home, and I'm trying to get back to like normal life, you know, get caught up on my house, because it's just been go, 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 go. So I haven't been able to crochet as much or knit as much. I mean, I'm amazed I was able to get those projects done for my sister. So yeah. And you probably noticed if I have a very small, wonderful group of community on here. My YouTube channel is, as I, have stated, like it's on the struggle bus. But I do have, a really great little community, and I've been trying to play around with, filming and stuff of I'm filming on my camera right now. And so I noticed like the lighting gets really weird when I edit. So I'm gonna probably try something different with this video. When I'm filming with my phone, I notice the lighting just gets really weird when I'm using that software. So I'm going to try I have an editing software that I use on my phone for like some TikToks or shorts, but I've never done like a longer video on there because I couldn't before, because I never had space on my phone. But I got a new phone, and so now I actually have storage on my phone that I can actually make longer videos. So I think I'm gonna try and edit this video on that software on my phone to see if the lighting looks more normal, because I am, my skin tone is pretty light, but so I take the video off my phone, put it on my computer, for some reason, like I look like I'm blending into the door, and like the whole room, like the walls are kind of like a blue-gray, so it's not the best background, but like the colors are so off. So I'm hoping that if I edit on the editing software, it will not be as off. So we'll see what's going on here. I'm trying to figure out this pattern. I'm like, okay, now that looks right. Because if you saw me take it apart, I'm like, this is not looking right. What on earth did I do? And that's why it's important to steer it back into crochet, because a lot of times these chats are just very random. But as I like to say, read your work, know how to read your work. So when you are stitching along and you're looking at your project and you're like, she's not looking correct, you can frog it, take it apart, and then correct your mistakes. So if you're not sure what your stitches are supposed to look like, you won't be able to do that. So I really encourage you, if you really enjoy crocheting or knitting, to really get familiar with the stitches and how they're supposed to look, so that when you are working a project, because I don't care who you are, I don't care if you are, labeled the best knitter or crocheter in the world, you're going to make a mistake. You just are. It's going to happen. I promise it will. Because we're human beings, and all of us make mistakes. None of us are perfect. So when that does happen, then you are able to correct your mistake without, finishing it up, and then you're like, why don't I like this? What's wrong with this? Because you have no idea why it looks wrong. Like you probably will recognize it looks wrong, but you don't know why. So if you can read your work, then you'll know why it went wrong, and then you can correct it. So now we're back on the right track here of looking how we're supposed to look with this. So I didn't mean to get on a soapbox for that. I can do that. I can get like really soapboxy, where I'm just up on my box just talking about stuff. My kids get irritated with that. They're like, Mom, stop talking. You talked enough about it. And I can get a little passionate about my knitting and crocheting and other things. But yeah, we won't get into all that stuff. But yeah, it's gonna be a while before I finish this blanket. I think it's gonna be one of those projects. I still haven't finished that sweater that I've been working on. It's one that these projects are long-term projects where I work on them in a while, and then I need a break, and then I work on it a while and I need a break. So I think this is going to be one of those. And I remember when I had to make it for the publication, that was difficult because it was a big project. It was using that heavy yarn, and I really had a timeline that I had to get that done. So I remember just any spare minute I had, I was crocheting this. Ended up being like a monstrosity. It's a beautiful blanket, don't get me wrong, but she's a heavy girl. That blanket yarn, and this is crochet cables, and you know, if you want a weighted blanket, that'll do it. My kids all love that blanket. We actually have it in our family room, and it doesn't look pretty anymore. Things have spilled on it. The yarn that I used, this blanket yarn, it kind of pilled, and it was made with a cream color. So when it was brand new, it was absolutely stunning, but the yarn was super soft, but it's just not a super durable yarn. It was a Bernat yarn that I used, and it is a blanket type yarn. There's different types of blanket yarn, so it's not the blanket yarn that's really popular right now, like that chenille blanket yarn. It's not that, it's a different one, and it doesn't hold up well. Like, it hasn't broken or, you know, gotten a hole in it, but as far as like washing it, it just kind of looks, dare I say, it looks like crap after you washed it. There's some stains on it that just haven't come out. Like I said, it's pilling, but the kids all love it because it is a very comfy, it's like a warm hug when you have that blanket on there. So if you're going to use blanket yarn, don't use the blanket yarn that I use. I'll have to look up the yarn that I did use, and I can put it up on here to warn you not to use it because it's just not that great. So don't let it fool you. In the store, I was like, because when I put in the proposal and they accepted it, and they, you know, with the publications, a lot of times, you know, they'll tell you what they want you to use. So they said like the type of yarn they wanted me to use and the color they wanted me to use. So that blanket yarn wasn't super popular back in 2017 as much, so there weren't as many choices. So I found this yarn, it was the right color, and when I was working with it, it was fine to work with, and it stitched up beautifully, but I didn't understand that the wear and tear of it wasn't going to stay like looking great. So yeah. So if you're never going to use it, never going to wash it, then sure, go by all means use that yarn. And maybe it's even been discontinued. I don't know. Like I said, I'll look it up and see if it's still available, and so I can tell you not to use it. Bring it back to the crocheting. Like, yarn choice can really make or break a project. You know, if you're not using the right yarn, that can determine whether your project goes from like amazing to like where that one, it kind of tricked you. It was like, I feel like, you know, I was kind of, hornswoggled with that, because when I finished that project, it was amazing, but then, you know, blankets are meant to be used, and mine was used, and it just didn't hold up very well. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So I think the blanket with this yarn, it's not blanket yarn, but it feels like a really nice, sturdy acrylic worsted weight. Like, it's gonna hold up well in the wash. So yeah, hopefully this one will last longer, but I probably won't keep it. So whoever gets it, it will be a nice blanket that they'll have for many years. So my last couple of videos, I did some yarn hauls. I don't think I'm going to be doing those for a while. I have plenty of yarn. I'm thinking maybe of some video ideas as far as organizing my yarn, because oh goodness gracious, my yarn, it's not organized. So when I do have projects in mind, I'm kind of like digging through the bins like, okay, where's worsted weight, or where's sport weight? Like, all the weights are all, you know, mixed up, and colors are all over the place. And so I thought maybe I should try to organize the yarn so that if I want to make a worsted weight project, then I can go to the worsted weight bin. I wish I could get like a shelving system. Like, my mom has this amazing shelf system that she got in her crafting room, and I mean, I don't have room for that at all in my house, but they're clear. I think I don't know if they're Rubbermaid or whatever, but the drawers, I mean, it is plastic, so I don't think it was super pricey, but they're clear, and then she has them all labeled. Now, my mom pretty much likes to just use basically the same weight of yarn. She doesn't vary, where I like thread and I like worsted and sport, and so where she doesn't, I don't think she really uses thread weight yarn at all, but you know, I have quite a variety of yarn weights and colors, but it would be nice to kind of be able to find my stuff a little better. So maybe that's something that I will do, maybe film that process if I can kind of figure out how, you know, to make like a system that's a little bit more user-friendly. I have some yarn in bins and some in boxes, so yeah, but that was just something I was thinking about. I think I am going to go. I'm going to have to figure out dinner, you know, that's always the million-dollar question, and also see if I can edit this video on my phone and that it's not going to be like a weird colored mess, and try to get music on it on my phone. I don't know if the editing software I use on my phone, I can put music on it. I don't know, like I'm not really great with that stuff, but I'm trying to figure it out. So I hope you enjoyed this completely random video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!